All right. Hello and welcome to Therapist Happy Hour. My name is Colin Moss, and I am joined, as always, with Jason Cole and Andy Lane. And we are three therapists who just get together and talk about stuff. Today, Andy's going to pose a question that we're all going to discuss. Andy, what do you have for us today?
Why, thank you, Colin. I never thought you'd ask. My question for you guys is very relevant now, but I think it's relevant for everyone at every time period of the Western world. So, how do you and how should we deal with burnout?
So this is a challenging question for me because I'm so in my infancy as a therapist, right? Like I'm where I am in my journey is I'm, 3 years into seeing clients. I'm finishing up my 3,000 hours for my internship. And so I'm at on my journey, I just got birthed, right? And so the whole world is ahead of me. Everything seems bright and exciting. And the idea of burnout seems very far away and maybe a little scary to even look at, right? Because it's so opposite from where I am in my journey. So this will be a really challenging one for me because it's going to be hard to really take a good look at.
So I'm gonna broaden the spectrum. Of course, we are three therapists. Colin, is that a knife that you have in your hand? Oh, it's a shark.
It's a shark pin. It's a shark. It's a pen, but it's a shark pin.
Oh, it's a shark pin. Okay.
I still have my kids.
I'm gonna broaden it to you guys are fathers and your husbands, and you've had careers before this.
Yeah.
So burnout. Although we are all therapists and now we know the fancy lingo for it. How have you and how do you and just how do you deal with it as a concept,
So, okay. Thank you for broadening a little bit because to me, I'm still in the honeymoon phase of this career, but I love my job. I've been on 2 vacations. We've been gone to the beach a couple times and I've taken my laptop to still work and see clients. I'm at the beach. I'm running back, taking a shower, washing the sunblock off, and hoping I'm not burned so I can talk to my client. I love working. I love this job. There are times, but also I keep my hours a little on the low side because I still have to parent during a pandemic. So so that's kind of my personal experience. Now I remember one of my professors in grad school. What's her name? Curly blonde hair, board member at CAC.
Ellen Melton.
Dr. Melton. Yeah. Beautiful, wonderful, super smart. But she was telling us, we were talking about burnout one time in this profession, and she was saying that the average career lifespan for a therapist is 2 years.
2 years?
2 years.
Wow.
2 years of practicing seeing clients. Now, maybe people take their degree and their license and they find other roles, but seeing clients in direct client interaction. And I'm not sure if that's post licensure or postgraduate work. I don't know, but that seemed really short. As someone who was like, "You guys should have told us that before we paid all this money."
Yeah, we're spending 3-4 years studying this stuff, and
you meet the therapists like my supervisor, Dr. Sonny Lansdale, been around 25-30 years practicing, and is gonna keep going. And so she's on the high end. So how many other people have to bail out at year 1 or 6 months, and why? What is it? Why didn't they keep going? What was it? Was just not a good fit for them? Did they get in over their head? Did something happen? I don't know. And mind you, 2 years wasn't necessarily 2 years because they burned out. It's just 2 years is the average career lifespan. Yeah. Average.
Wow.
So another thing I learned on, I think, the second day of grad school, I'm spacing on all my professors' names, but the teacher, the professor, the adjunct was like, "Look, guys, you cannot be wedded to your client's performance or change or whatever your clients are going through. That can't be that can't be the sun that rises and falls, sets every day for you. as far as your career goes. Like if you don't have a hobby, a tangible hobby right now that you can use to fulfill your life outside of work, find one, because it's very important that you have something else besides just this career. It's something that you can like build and watch grow. And, and I found that very important because, we work with people who've been struggling with things their whole lives, and they may not, in the time that we see them, we might not see any change. I mean, what is it? The average number of therapists a person goes through, like 2.5 before they make any quote meaningful change in their own life.
Right.
But we may be 1 or 2 in that list, and not, we might not be the one that is there for them for that. And so, not hanging my star on my clients and what they're doing, to me has been important already as far as avoiding burning out. I just like the interaction in the moment.
Well, I mean, we always do this. We always record. I mean, we talk about a question, and before this, we have like this great catching up talk that's just us shooting the shit. And one thing that we talked about that I wanted to bring back in was that if you are making judgments about your clients and what they are doing or aren't doing, then you're not really leaving the session when you walk out of the door.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having the boundaries of allowing the client to have their own life, right? And so I think that comes into play with it too, is not being so invested in their decisions to where it impacts the rest of your life. I don't know, Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I keep coming to this idea of for a long time, my previous job before this, I didn't have, I had a why, but it wasn't a sustaining why. So like I was in the corporate world. I stayed in my job for an extra long time to give my family the stability that we needed so that my wife could start her own architecture firm. And so that was my why I get up and go to work every day. And that was okay, but it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't a strong why. And so it brought me to work, but just enough. I would do just enough to not get fired. I would do just enough to, it wasn't like, and so this job has given me like a deeper why, like, that thing around helping people and getting in there and making somewhat of a difference. And you're right, Colin, to not get involved in all of the successes and failures, but for me, it's like putting something positive into the world was something that was really important to me. And that allows me to endure, the shit days, the hard days, the days where you leave a session and you're like, oh my gosh, that was really intense and really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you have to, like, and that comes from, Nietzsche, right? Where he said, if you have your why, you can endure anyhow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, having that why and just like carrying that why into my day has been something that's super critical.
It's also identity driven.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the great therapists that I know are people who are like finally sinking into who they are by doing what they're doing, like almost like a calling of some sort, right? And I really feel like one of the big responsibilities we have in our life is to be as Jason as you can possibly be, and to be as Colin as you can possibly be, right. And so if you're really living that idea of this is what a Jason does, I must Jason right now, then you're not going to burn out as quickly as
if ever
might, if they're trying to be someone else.
If ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if you're living your authentic life.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I love this gig and it fulfills me, but there are hard days. And I mean, I know we're just receiving partially what our clients have gone through,
Yeah.
And, but it takes its toll, and there are days. Barb Machivich, you guys know Barb.
Yeah.
Like she's, she has clients, some of her clients have gone through a lot of things, and it affects her. And Barb, if you watch this and you don't like me sharing this, I apologize. But like, there's a way she repeats this with all the authenticity in the world, and without any presumption about anything. She'll say, "We have a really hard job," you know. And I agree to that. That yes, it is a hard job, but it's so fulfilling and so rewarding when you're doing the thing that, like, almost like a calling. It just matches up with who I am. I
Yeah.
get to be me and nothing but me. Like I'm 100% me as in the room.
Yeah. And I mean, and that is all true. So it's a calling. It's being true to yourself, living the authentic life. And I also know that as a musician, I get writer's block, and I'll get tired of touring, and I'll
Mhm.
be tired of playing shows, but I love doing it. So it is true that even if you love it, you can get burnt out.
Yeah.
And I think that when I conceptualize why that is, it might be because there's not enough tiny adventures and randomness. So, Colin, when you're talking about going to the beach and bringing your laptop and mixing it up, and like at the beginning, COVID was like great to see clients online.
Mhm.
I think that mixing it up is the cure for writer's block, and I think that it is the cure for burnout for me.
Mhm.
Is being able to say, well, life doesn't always have to be just like this.
Mhm.
It can be a little bit different. We can kind of sync it up in different ways.
Well,
And
and
Andy,
oh,
that really jumps. Sorry, real quick. That really speaks to what you said earlier, right? About being more than one thing, right? Like having a hobby or having something else, so that way we
Yeah.
can we can take off that hat and put on a different hat, because we can't just be one thing. We as humans, we really struggle when we are defined by one thing, which is what you see. I watched this beautiful documentary about Olympians, and about the suicidality of Olympians,
mhm.
and about depression in Olympians. And it happens when, oftentimes, as they come to the end of their sport, and where their whole life they've been defined as this, and now they've got this whole other part of their life that they have to manage to live, and somehow walk past that way of seeing themselves.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
they've walked up to the abyss
yeah,
of existence, and like, what do I put in here now? How do I feel this?
I mean, I reached the mountaintop. This thing, I've climbed the mountain, and here I am. I'm at the top of the mountain, and okay, well, I still, the lightning didn't strike. I've got to
Mhm.
keep going.
And isn't that a beautiful, like, I guess, just example of how we are caught up in the idea of if I finish my to-do list, I'm happy. If I'm the best at my profession, I'm happy. But our nature is that we're supposed to be more than what we do. We're supposed to be, um, I guess, just connected in other areas. So it's like antithetical for us to think, oh, if I am the president of the university or the CEO of the company, then I will be happy.
Mhm.
Or if I am a father and I have children and a wife, that I am happy.
Yeah, there's a really great book called The Happiness Trap. Have you guys heard of that? Yeah.
No.
And they talk about, and this is a concept in ACT, is like the delusion that happiness is the ultimate thing,
Yeah.
like really robs you of a full and meaningful life. Like
Right.
like there's a reason you're sad. You're sad because you're attached to something that went away,
Mm.
that was taken from you, that someone died or you just don't have anymore. There's grief, there's loss, and that is part of the human experience. And to try to deny that, I think that's where people or struggle when they're fighting against that, is where people
Uh-huh.
may get into trouble. And like, yeah, like when you get to the mountaintop and the lightning didn't strike, you're still alive, what am I going to do tomorrow? There may be some sadness in that, and to like lean into it and embrace that, like, okay, it's sad now, like, what am I going to do? And when you struggle against that and when you fight against that, that takes a lot of energy, and it takes a lot of mental space and psychic energy. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to be there. It's like, you don't need to pile on the grief and shame of feeling these sad and negative feelings. Like,
Yeah. The crust, add more layers of crust.
right.
Yeah. I love that you said that. Well, cool. I think that that's a pretty good way to end it. I mean, burnout should be approached with looking at life in all the other possibilities that you have for it. Don't minimize your potential, and make sure that what you're doing is authentic to who you are and honest to who you are.
That's so big too, because oftentimes burnout could be telling us a really important thing about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So well put.
Yeah.
Which we can talk about living a symbolic life next time.
All right. Well said, guys. Thank you. That was great.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, y'all.
All right. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
You give me a reason. Cigarette